If you are an endurance athlete over the age of 65, you are likely putting in the same brutal miles you always have. But the math has changed. Your power on the hills is fading, and a hard effort that used to require a few hours of recovery now demands several days. For decades, doctors told us this was simply the natural decline of getting older. But recent cellular science reveals a different mechanism at work entirely. It is actually a highly specific communication failure. Researchers call it anabolic resistance. Your muscles still have the physical capacity to grow and repair themselves. They have simply gone hard of hearing. The chemical signals that once triggered immediate repair are now being ignored. The intuitive solution is to shout louder by eating massive amounts of protein, but doing that blindly triggers a biological trap. We can see the first half of this trap in the NHANES 3 population dataset, which tracked the health outcomes of thousands of Americans over decades. For adults between the ages of 50 and 65, a high-protein diet heavily reliant on animal sources carried a severe penalty. The data showed a 75% increase in all-cause mortality and a fourfold increase in cancer death. There is also a secondary vascular threat. A 2024 study looked at the cleaning crew of your blood vessels, immune cells called macrophages. The researchers found that consuming over 25 grams of protein in a single sitting flips a switch inside these immune cells. They stop their housekeeping process, and arterial plaque begins to accumulate. So as an aging athlete, your muscles are starved for heavy doses of protein, but those exact same heavy doses appear to threaten your heart and feed oncological risk. But if you track that exact same ANAS dataset forward in time, the biological rules of protein do a complete U-turn on your 65th birthday. Once the subjects passed age 65, the pattern completely inverted. In this older demographic, the individuals consuming the most protein actually demonstrated the lowest rates of cancer and the lowest overall risk of death. This reversal happens because your primary threats shift. At 65, the danger of physical frailty, a condition called sarcopenia, vastly outpaces the theoretical risks of cellular growth hormones. Muscle is your metabolic armor. It protects your bones, supports your immune system, and guarantees your physical independence. Preserving it becomes a far more urgent survival priority than avoiding protein. To preserve that armor, we have to look at the master controller for muscle growth inside your cells, a receptor called mTORC1. Think of this receptor as a dimmer switch. At age 30, that switch is exquisitely sensitive. Just 20 grams of dietary protein easily pushes the slider to 100%. But by age 65, the hinges are stiff. That same 20-gram meal barely moves the needle. To force that stiff switch into the on position, an older athlete requires a much louder wake-up call. You need 3 to 4 grams of an amino acid called leucine. Getting that requires eating roughly 40 grams of protein in a single meal. The biological machinery isn't broken. It still works. You just have to double the chemical volume so your body hears the command to rebuild. This brings us right back to the vascular paradox. Your muscles require a 40-gram shout to grow, but your macrophages have a 25-gram speed limit before they stop cleaning your arteries. Fortunately, athletes have a biological loophole that sedentary people do not. It acts like an exercise vacuum. Intense training leaves your muscles completely starved. When you eat protein immediately following a hard workout, those amino acids are instantly sucked out of the bloodstream for structural repairs. They never get the chance to linger and bother the macrophages. By timing your massive 40-gram protein meals right after you train, you can exploit this vacuum to feed your muscles while bypassing the cardiovascular speed limit. That solves the heart, but we still have to manage cancer risk. Animal proteins like whey are naturally phyllene-methionine. Research shows that many cancer cells are highly dependent on this specific amino acid to multiply. We can sidestep this by using a plant-forward strategy. Plant sources like pea protein naturally carry a significantly lower methionine load. But there is a catch. Isolated pea protein doesn't have enough leucine density to flip the stiff mTORC1 dimmer switch. A pure plant shake leaves your muscle-building lights off. The solution is manual fortification. By taking a low methionine pea protein shake and adding a small scoop of pure, free-form L-leucine powder, you create the exact chemical trigger your older muscles require. This exact combination delivers the loud anabolic shout required for muscle repair, entirely separated from the heavy methionine baggage associated with disease progression. Ultimately, all this optimized protein is just a pile of high-quality bricks. Without a builder on site, the house never goes up. Heavy resistance training is the builder. Without the mechanical signal of locking out heavy weight, the extra protein you eat has no dedicated storage compartment. It simply gets burned for energy. Endurance athletes who only run or cycle but refuse to enter the weight room leave half of their performance and longevity on the table. Getting older is not a slow fade, it is a shift in biological strategy. By outsmarting anabolic resistance and lifting heavy, you actively build a resilient machine for every mile ahead.